All right, so Matthew Stafford once again did not practice. I'm not really concerned either way. If he plays, he plays. If he doesn't, he doesn't. Look, it is going to be a risk no matter what you do. If you send him out there, you're risking further injury. You're risking the end of the season. If you don't send him out there, you're risking the end of the season by leaving it up to Brett Rippon and Dresser Wynn. So before we get into it, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Let's dive in. So the whole purpose of this video, I don't know, is to be a little thought-provoking. I know everyone's talking about 2024, and I understand the plan. I've known the plan for a while. The people I've talked to, this was decided a while ago when they decided to clean house, pay $75 million to players that aren't currently on the roster. It was to turn over a quick leaf for next season and be able to spend again. Now, what I'm going to say is this. Aaron Donald, Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp all knew about the plan, all bought into it. So when I heard the Rams need to get, Matthew Stafford to the Jets and Aaron Donald needs to go to Pittsburgh and we need to trade away Cooper Kupp, I'm sitting there like, why? Because here's the thing. I understand patience. I also understand the fact you wait 9 months to see them play, and then you see them play. Now you have to wait another 9 months if they have a bad season. You have to wait another 9 months regardless, but still. My thing here is that I feel like there's a disconnect with the fan base, and so I just want to make this clear where I stand and just give my thoughts on the situation. The Rams are keeping their eye on 2024 and 2025. They're trying to compete with what they have. They've spent the least amount of money in the NFL. We already know that. Obviously, the $75 million on their players, that's dead money. We already know that. The trading of like Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp and Aaron Donald, like people bringing that up, how far away do you think this team is? And I guess that's the whole point I want to bring up. This team has only lost to a winning team this year. All five of their games that they've lost at 8, all 5 of them. 5-3 49ers, 4-3 Steelers, 7-1 Eagles, 5-2 Dallas. I mean, all these teams that they've lost to have been plus, above 500. So it begs the question, why are so many people so quick to turn the page for 2024? Is it because they stood pat at the deadline? I mean, they didn't really... here's the thing. I don't know if they were ever going to make that trade. I was told there was a possibility. Had they got on like a quick win streak right before the deadline, had about 5 wins or so, they could look into it. But I don't think it's the end of the world that they didn't make a trade. I'm furious that the Chase Young deal went to the Niners. But I don't think it's the end of the world like some people do. And so the reason I'm making this video is because, look, I'm kind of at the point where, I just did a mock off season for the 2024 season. I was bored. I made it. This isn't going to be that video, but I am going to kind of gloss over it a little bit. I was looking at the Rams roster. And if they're in every single game, except for the Dallas game, which was an anomaly, it was it's not what they are. If they're in every single game with this roster, how bad do you think this roster is? I keep seeing people saying this is a 5-win team, a 3-win team. They're not good. They're really not good. They have no talent. I got to disagree and push back here. I mean, here's what I'll say. 2024... 2025, that's probably the last hurrah. It's part of the new era of Rams football, but mainly the last hurrah for that core group of players when we're talking about Cooper Kupp, Matthew Stafford, and Aaron Donald. Cooper Kupp could still stay there after that in 2026. Matthew Stafford could. But I believe 2026 is probably the next era of Rams football entirely. I think that's when they turn the page. I think that's when a new franchise quarterback is under center for the Rams. Now, obviously, injuries could, cut that short with Matthew Stafford. My thing here is that I keep reading that this team is terrible and it's not talented, and I just disagree, and here's why. So the offense is the biggest issue, right? Well, here's the thing, okay? Because the offense next year, based on just what they have, next year, Matthew Stafford is under contract. Kyron Williams is under contract, okay? Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, Tutu Atwell, Ben Skoranek, all under contract. Tyler Higbee is now under contract with Davis Allen and Hunter Long. Then on the offensive line, you have a restricted free agent in Alec Jackson, right? Joe Nopum, who's under contract, Steve Avila, Coleman Shelton, Brian Allen, Warren McClendon, Rob Havenstein, and of course, Kevin Dotson becomes a free agent. So let's take it piece by piece. We'll start with the offense. How much better does this offense have to get? We keep talking about cap space. Everyone's going to have cap space next year. It's not just the Rams. But I want to know, what would you want to do with the cap space? The best two offensive linemen I see available for the offensive tackle spot, you're talking either Garrett Bowles, who's in his 30s now, so that's not a great move in my opinion, or you're talking about Jonah Williams, who plays right tackle. And yes, he played left tackle in college, but can he go back there? That's the question. Younger player, might make sense. I don't know. Then you look at center. I see Lloyd Cushenberry as an option, having a great season for Denver. Okay. Loved him in the draft coming out of LSU. Is he an option? I mean, I think he's by far the best option in free agency. See, this is what I'm getting at, because you're not replacing Matthew Stafford next year. He's part of this. Whether you like it or not, 2024 and 2025, when you hear that, Matthew Stafford is a part of that. So it's not like he's not part of the plans. He is supposed to be the franchise quarterback moving forward. And then 2026, that's when they'll probably be pivoting. So that's the thing. Then you bring up running back. You think they're going to pay a running back like a lot of money? I don't really understand that. Like, and offense is the biggest issue on this team, only averaging 21 points a game. Talent's not an issue. So quarterback's good. Running back, you got Kyron and Zach Evans. You could re-sign Darrell Henderson. You could re-sign Royce Freeman, cheaper deals. Ronnie Rivers is a exclusive rights free agent, I believe, or restricted. Quarterback room, Matthew Stafford, Stetson Bennett, and then probably draft a quarterback, I would imagine, for the future, develop him. But as far as free agency goes, they're not going to go out and get Saquon Barkley. He won't be available, first off. But second, they're not going to pay another running back Todd Gurley money. They've already done that. They're not going to do that again. So I don't see that as an option. And then wide receiver, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, Tutu Atwell, Ben Skoranek. They might upgrade Ben Skoranek at 4, but they really like Skoranek. They're not upgrading Tutu. They're not upgrading Puka, and they're not upgrading Kupp. So who else do you expect them to add at wide receiver? Puka Nacua has emerged in a way that we didn't expect before the season. That's changed their plans. Tight end. They already paid Tyler Higbee. They're not interested in upgrading. Unless they go out and get another weapon next to him, like you go out and get Hunter Henry to Jonnu Smith, what the Patriots were trying to do, and it didn't work out, but they were trying to do it. Or Jonnu Smith with Kyle Pitts. Unless you do something like that, I mean, Hunter Long, Davis Allen, you develop Davis Allen. Hunter Long hasn't done anything. Do you go out and get a tight end? I don't see it. So then you look at offensive line. And I already told you there are two tackle options. One guy that's already in his 30s, another guy who's younger that has never played left tackle, I believe, in the NFL. He might have played a little bit. He is a right tackle right now. You got Joe Nopum, or are you going to trade him? What's the deal with him? Alec Jackson's a restricted free agent. Rob Havenstein isn't going anywhere. He's under contract for quite a while. So then you go to the interior. There's not really any guards. See, this is where the draft comes in. So, the money. Where are they getting better on the offense? I mean, this kind of leaves back to play calling, right? Sean McVay has to be better play calling wise. Does it mean they have the talent? Look, I'm going to say this before we end the offensive portion of this video. I'm going to say this right now. Sean McVay had Andrew Whitworth from 2017 to the end of the 2021 season. Okay. we saw what it's like without Andrew Whitworth. Left tackle needs to be a priority, and they need to spend a first-round pick on it. You're not getting a top-notch left tackle in free agency. So $60 million to $80 million, depending on how many restructures they decide to do. There's not really much you can really do to this offense. You can sign Lloyd Cushenberry at center. They like Coleman Shelton and Brian Allen, so I don't know. Right guard, bring back Kevin Dotson. That's what I would do. Okay, that's the only thing I would be concerned with is bringing back Kevin Dotson with that money. Okay, we move on to the defense. And now the defense, Aaron Donald, Bobby Brown, Kobe Turner, Desjuan Johnson, all under contract, right? So all those guys are under contract. And you also have, Jonah Williams, who is a restricted free agent, likely would bring him back. But are you going to upgrade the trenches there? Are you going to upgrade that defensive line? Looks pretty damn good to me. If you can bring back Jonah Williams, those 5 guys, that's great. Maybe draft a guy late in the draft or something, but I don't see much you can do there. So this team that doesn't have talent, what are we adding so far? All I have them doing is re-signing Kevin Dotson. This is so far. So now, edge defenders. Well, it's not a shock to you guys because I've said over and over again, I think they need to go out and acquire an edge defender. They did not trade for one. That does mean they'll have more draft capital, but we'll see who's available because this is a prime position that gets tagged in the offseason. So I look at this, Byron Young, check mark. We know what he is. Van Valkenburg will probably be back, at least on a camp deal, right? O'Shawn Mathis, exciting 6th rounder. Want to see how the development goes. Nick Hampton, a 5th rounder they like. Exciting there. Keir Thomas, probably a futures deal. Michael Hoyt, I believe, is a restricted free agent, so he could be back as well. So, there are some options. You got Rashawn Gary, Montez Sweat, if he hits free agency, Chase Young. What about Josh Uche? He's not as sexy as the other names, but he'd be a great fit. So now we add Josh Uche. We re-signed Kevin Dotson. And that's about $25 to $30 million between the two of them. So we've only changed 2 positions. We've actually only changed 1 position. We've re-signed somebody and we've brought in a pass rusher. And then you look at inside linebacker. It's going to be Jones, Roseboom's a restricted free agent, and Jay Kummel. They don't pay linebackers. They paid Bobby Wagner a 5-year deal, and they only let him stay for 1 year. They're not paying a linebacker. Then you look at cornerback. Could it be a cornerback that we're talking about here? Is that what 2024 brings? Well, I think they re-sign Akello Witherspoon. So now you figure that in. It's over $40 million of cap space. And then I could see them signing a Jalen Johnson. I could see them signing a L'Jarius Sneed. There's not a ton of corners available, but I like those corners in free agency. And they don't pay safeties. So do you see what I'm saying here, folks? I don't really see why everyone is jumping for joy about 2024. Well, I get it to an extent. I don't get what the disconnect here. This team's not a competitive team. This team can't go to the playoffs. We're talking about changing maybe 4 different positions, re-signing 2, adding 2 others, and that makes the team, tell me right now, if you add Josh Uche and Jalen Johnson to the team they already have, is that not an NFC West contender? You have Jalen Johnson playing alongside Akello. You got Josh Uche off the edge with Byron Young. You bring back Kevin Dotson. I don't. What more do they need? At that point, Lloyd Cushenberry at center would be awesome. They're not really missing anything except the key things here: left tackle, edge, a corner, a shutdown corner, but also a guy that can make a play or two. And that, bringing back Kevin Dotson. That's about it. So I had a mock draft here that I did on PFF. And Talis Fuega, I don't know if that's how you say his name, from Oregon State, is the guy that I got at pick 10. Right now the Rams have the 10th pick. There's not an option in free agency for left tackle long term. So to me, this has to be your Orlando Pace pick. This is setting the tone for years to come. They tried, but it goes to show you They spent a third-round pick on Joseph Noteboom, and he barely started, and they gave him the contract. They got Alaric Jackson, higher-paying UDFA, and that's it. That's how they have addressed this position. They didn't go out and get a first-rounder. The greatest show on turf had Orlando Pace. So the Rams need to do that. Then I had them getting Shedeur Sanders in the second round as their quarterback for the future. You have him sit behind Stafford for 3 years. You still have a year to see what he is before you have to pay him. Or 2 years. So that I like that. And then Cedric Van Pran, the center from Georgia, the number one center, third round, he could start over Coleman Shelton or Brian Allen. So this is where I'm at on 2024. It's not that I'm hating. No. I just say, like, when I hear, well, they don't have what they need. I mean, the reality of the situation is they're not going to change much moving forward. What are they going to change? Are they going to change for the sake of changing as well? Yeah, Jordan Fuller's out the door. I don't think they bring him back. Quentin Lake and Russ Easter there. They drafted those two. They like Tanner Engel, who's going to get a futures deal and have a chance to work his way onto the roster. They drafted Jason Taylor II. They don't pay safeties. I don't know what to tell you. Corners. They're going to have Kobe Durant, Akello Witherspoon if they bring him back, Trey Tomlinson, Darion Kendrick, Sean Jolly, and Michael Ojemudia will probably be added as futures contracts, as well as Cam McCutcheon. And then you talk about adding a Jalen Johnson or a L'Jarius Sneed. What more do they have to do? Inside linebackers, they don't pay. And they need an edge defender. This is what I'm saying, folks. Like, this team isn't as far away as you think. There are too many people that took an outlier game against the Dallas Cowboys and completely took them out of the realm of possibility that they could be watching this team in January. Completely took them out of that. They're just like, nope, this team's done. They're not done. They're not a bad club. They're not. The NFC's a bad, conference right now. There's 10 teams that are in it, and the Rams are one of the 10. They can get this thing together. I'm not saying they will, but I'll tell you right now, I'm not looking at 2024 like this is going to be reinventing the wheel. Maybe 2025 is, but a lot of these guys, you'll be surprised how many of these starters stay. I think the real disconnect here is that we hear the Project 2024, Project 2025. But what we don't take into account is that for the most part, they have a lot of the players that they're going to have in the short term. Are these guys part of the 2026 roster? That is too far ahead to tell. I don't know if they bring back Tutu Atwell on his second deal. I don't know what happens with Cooper Kupp if he decides to retire early. I don't know. But 2024 is next year. This team isn't going to change that much, and they don't have to. If you gave them this year Josh Uche, Jalen Johnson, and you gave him Fuega, say you just took him right off Oregon State, and you put him at left tackle, how many wins do you think that team gets from scratch, starting from week one with those guys? Because I'll tell you right now, as long as Stafford stays healthy, that team could win a Super Bowl. It could. They don't have that many needs. They're not bottom of the league in anything. They don't run the ball enough. I think, unfortunately, the reality of the situation is, as much as we love Matthew Stafford, we love watching him air it down the field. He is a joy to watch, and Sean McVay does not want to waste a second of not using him. The fact of the matter is this. To keep him fresh, to keep him going until 2025, 2026, they need to start running the ball more. So those are my thoughts, folks. I don't look at this team and think that this team can't compete. That's why I had them at 10-7. Like, I know people are going to want to have the wrecking ball to this team. Overreaction Monday. Please tell me you are over that. It is Thursday. We're getting ready for the Packers game. Obviously, Packers game, whatever happens, happens. But right now, it's a little ridiculous. at least in my opinion. So I'll just say this, folks. It's okay to be looking forward to next year's draft. It's okay to be looking forward to 2024. But if you're expecting this to be 2021 all over again, where they acquire Von Miller, where they have OBJ, where they have Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp, and you have a fourth receiver in Van Jefferson, that's like that good of a fourth receiver at the level he was playing at. I mean, you have Stafford throwing 51 touchdowns. I know he didn't, but still. Like, it's not going to be that. It's not. The Rams are telling you, these guys are playing for their jobs next year, and I think a lot of them are going to win those jobs. Tell me for real who you think they would be replacing outside of left tackle, maybe center, edge, cornerback. Like, who else are they replacing? Lucas Haversick is signed until the end of next year. So he's their kicker. Ethan Evans is their franchise punter, and they're not getting rid of Alex Ward. There's not going to be many moves. They might draft a linebacker, but they're not going to pay a linebacker. They might draft a safety. They're not going to pay a safety. They could pay a cornerback. And if they did that, it would have to be on the level of Jalen Johnson or L'Jarius Sneed. Those are my thoughts. Curious what you guys think. Drop them in the comment section below. But until next time, I'm Jake Ellenbogen. You can follow me at JKBogan on everything, whether it's Threads, Instagram, Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it. Also have a Discord. Yeah, I'll see you guys soon. Later, folks.
Start playing Pick'em or Weekly Fantasy for any sport today, Jake. Users will receive a 100% deposit match up to $100 if they use promo code OTE at sign up. Start playing Pick'em and Weekly Fantasy Football today with Underdog Fantasy.
Do you love talking about the Rams, the NFL, or just want to be a part of a community? Join my free Discord server today. We're over 800 members. We got 24/7 live chat, a level 3 boosted server, the ability to call into JE Live, playing online games with us on Kick streams, toggleable alerts for when I go live on YouTube or Kick so you don't miss a live stream, and exclusive giveaways. Click the link in the description, the comments section, or the link that comes up in the video to learn more and join today.